What if Beyonce is jealous of her daughter, Blue Ivy? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here once again at a new topic area that I don't really want to have to talk about, but I feel is kind of necessary to address, and that is the subject of jealous mothers, okay? That is the subject of jealous mothers. And the reason I decided to make this video today wasn't actually my intention. I was trying to avoid making any videos. But then, what always happens, happens. And I was very much guided and pushed to make these videos. And as I was getting ready, I usually like when I'm getting ready, because it doesn't take me very long, taking about literally about 10 minutes to just pull out the tripod and like whatever, throw on some lip gloss. I usually just flick on a YouTube video in the background, and so I go onto YouTube and I see a video about Blue Ivy getting plastic surgery. And so at first I was just kind of like, is this just one of those, stories? Until it came out that it was actually the surgeon themselves who spoke up about it. And then something clicked in my brain, right? Because at first I went on a tangent. I actually recorded another whole video before this one. And at first I was thinking more so about, just the leading and guiding, of women. And like how I've said to you guys, that like the Kardashian girls, they get a lot of flack for what they do, but I'm like, they're just doing what they've been led. And I think as a 28-year-old woman, I can tell you for free that a lot of my experiences of decisions I've made, I've got a lot of poor advice, bad advice from the older women in general. You guys wouldn't even believe. We'll get more into that. I want to start with the jealous element first, because I think they all factor into each other. And again, I never wanted to bring this up, but the reason I knew it was going to come up eventually is because recently, and like, especially throughout my life, but like this year, I feel like I've got to the point where I've had so many consistent experiences in so many different places that like the truth is just what it is at this point. You know what I mean? It's not a one-off. It's not a one area. It's not a one this, a one that. It's across the board. I'm seeing this. And I've said to you guys already that I feel like women, we get away with everything. I know that as a woman, we get away with everything. We're quick to talk about, what men are and are not doing enough of. But like, it just goes under the radar when it's a woman. Just like I said with Kris Jenner, she's the one guiding her family into chaos and her girls, but ain't nobody got any problems with Kris Jenner. I only know one other person who seems as bothered that anybody's considering her a loving mother in the world at all. Everyone just seems to let her get away with it, and it's always these women just getting away with it. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing that made me start to think about this Beyonce story arc with Blue Ivy, and again, a lot of other women who would be jealous of the likes of people like Beyonce or would wish to be her, are gonna think what I'm saying is crazy. So that's part of why I didn't want to bring it up, because of like, how would Beyonce be afraid of anything? But that's exactly where we should actually start this conversation, because that's what's so unique about the relationships between women and their daughters, from what I've heard. And I've heard story after story after story, like what I'm about to say right now. So the thought occurred to me, first things first, you guys already know that I believe, allegedly, that that child was never inside Beyonce's body in the first place. So it doesn't mean they didn't have a surrogate. Maybe they did. But I more believe personally at first, and this is what made me want to talk about this all of a sudden. At first, I've always said for years, since she first had Blue Ivy, before I had YouTube, I've never believed that pregnancy, there was always something sketchy about that pregnancy for me. And then it clicked and it hit me now, right? Say this is true, because what they're saying is that it's the plastic surgeons doing the work. They're going out of their way to change how she looks, try to make her look softer and everything on stage, because they could be getting a lot of flack because she looks exactly like her father, right? And I've thought about that concept myself, because I too have the face of my own biological father, which is highly unfortunate. And I say that only because it always made me feel like I look like a man. And it was only last year that I kind of overcame that whole issue. It's one of the other reasons I never really show my natural hair, because if I could draws too much attention to the size, the shape of my face. And then that's why sometimes in my YouTube videos I even don't even upload videos, because I think I just look so big on camera. You know what I mean? And the reason I'm bringing that up is that being a insecurity of mine, like my whole life, and having people always consistently tell me, like, you look nothing like your mom, you look just exactly like your dad, made me think about, I wonder how sometimes these things actually make the women feel, right? Because obviously in this case, right, with Beyonce and Jay-Z, I was thinking, it probably bothers her, because that baby I don't even think is hers, because I actually now think, as of today, it just all hit me in my head. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking, that child is probably, yes, Jay-Z's child, probably not hers, because we already know we have this whole alleged conspiracy, right? That he impregnated another woman, or he was cheating with another woman, and then Beyonce got her, done and dusted. And so it occurred to me that, because I've been saying to you guys that, like, when people are jealous, right? Anyway, we got to unpack it. There's so much to unpack here. So it occurred to me that, imagine if she's listening and hearing people always talking about how much her daughter looks like Jay-Z, Jay-Z, Jay-Z. From the standpoint of the fact that I think that her and her mom, again, have given themselves into chaos, and now she's very much participating, even though I think in the beginning, I don't think she was aware. But now I feel like she's very much given herself into chaos. So I do believe that this younger generation, right, is being groomed in Hollywood, because their parents, no offense, are slowly but surely going to no longer be the cool kids on the block anymore. Hence why I feel like so many of them are being brought to the forefront, which I really have a problem with, right? But then I started to think, what if now, so I think there's that, because there's that definite dynamic exists between the older women and us younger ladies. So a lot of them are happy for us and are happy to give us great advice and to be excited for us to be in our youth. A lot of them are quite bitter and jealous. And I realized some of them, they intentionally do certain things, almost as if to get us to kind of make the same mistakes that they did, so that we can't live a better life than the life that they lived. This is something that I noticed, right? And so, that's why I think sometimes when people talk about, like, women my age, my young ladies, like my peers, when people are talking about us, sometimes it's like people wonder why we do certain things. I've been given so much insane advice. I remember when I was working in London and everything, and I was there, and I always had this funny thing I always used to say, and I've only just remembered it right now. That these women would always look at me with such, like, jealousy of, like, wow, you're young and you don't have kids and you're not married, and they would actually tell me, like, whatever you do, like, just keep your youth, like, don't get married, don't have kids, like, just enjoy being you, just live for yourself. Like, this is what they used to say. And I'm saying these are even just women out in business, women I'd meet out in business, or who I'd work for, like my managers and things. This is the things that they would be saying to me, because they'd always be like, wow, you're so, like, they'd be looking at me almost with this look of like almost like, some of them, they would just be happy in it, like a lot of them, they were just happy, but a lot of them were also just looking at me with, like, oh, what I would give to just, like, not have to be in this predicament right now. But anyway, and then they would tell me, all these phrases and things that they would say: love don't pay the bills, you should never trust a man in your life, all this stuff, and it felt all very bitter. And especially because for me, I was so optimistic at this point about so many different things. So anyways, whether it be through my own experiences or those of my peers, right? It'll be, I've noticed this other dynamic of, like, as you get older as a woman around other women, again, it's all fun and games, and we're all young, and we're all, whatever. And I mean, this is across the board. I just want to say this is like a generational thing. It's all fun and games when we're all young, but as we get older, certain things start to bother them. And I've told you guys, sometimes you won't notice there's a demon within you because you're not being triggered by it yet. And I feel like this is a specific trigger that can happen in this particular dynamic. Because I'm thinking, right, with Blue Ivy, I'm sure that the more that she's looking like her father, the more it's bothering Beyonce. If this is the case of what I'm saying. And also on top of that, she's trying to kind of maintain control, because that's something which is why I would believe she would be doing stuff like the plastic surgeries potentially, and they're trying to change her look, so she can look more like her mum, because she has slowly but surely become looking more like Beyonce, but also to maintain control, because that's the other thing where you have this mother-daughter dynamic, or this auntie niece dynamic, or whatever it is. And when you start to get older, I've seen it, like even when I've been able to watch it, like I saw the most ugliest of things in a situation while I was in Italy, and it's like of a situation where you saw like somebody who clearly was like a young mentee to another woman, right? But then as that person is now older and like succeeding in life, and they're getting a bit older themselves, right? And I appreciate that it's really difficult, don't get me wrong, that's why I'm trying to be so careful about the subject. And I've seen it's really ugly, the things that these women say about us and the things that they do. So I can believe, and I can 100% believe that, and this is, I'm talking about mother daughter dynamics, or like auntie niece dynamics, mentor mentee dynamics. I'm talking in industry as well, like in the industry it's all fun and games for a lot of women in the industry. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget, there's this group of, I won't say who they are because it doesn't really matter, but professional dancers. And I remember in one of their, this was years ago, in one of their podcasts, they were talking about it. I've been talking to a lot of women recently, and a lot of women telling me these stories, and I'm realizing that there's this like cloud, because we can't talk about it, and because a mother's love is the concept of a mother's love is supposedly infallible. And also a lot of women, I hate to say it, but get hella emotional about this type of stuff. Like I've said to you guys, how, you can never say any comment about anything to do with parenting, because all parents just take everything really personally. And I'm also a bit like, well, if you're not guilty, you shouldn't really care, to be fair. And also maybe that's the sign, you know what I mean? So it's even worse, even with that, it just all these things coming into one. So I'm thinking, I can see the reality where she's trying to maintain control, because that's what a lot of them, the jealousy clicks in when they no longer in control, right? When they're no longer the mentorship position, right? Of whatever version of that it is, and then the young woman is starting to, become herself. It's like I was saying about with Britney Spears. We see the same thing there. Like, who was the one who found Lou M. Taylor? It was her mom. Who was the one who suggested the conservatorship to her dad? It was her mom. Her mom introduced Lou to the dad. Who was the one, right, who started this rumor that Britney's off the rails, going out partying? When what actually happened was that there was one night, and this is what I'm saying, there was one night when Paris Hilton had said to Britney, like, hey, we should go out. Like, you don't get to go out. All you do is work, right? And I've noted, and this is one thing I've believed about Britney all along. I've thought about it from the perspective of her sister. That her sister definitely gives off jealous energy. But I never really thought about it from the perspective of her mum. And like now I'm thinking maybe that's why her mum actually did these heinous things. Like maybe that's why she was so prepared to just let her daughter do whatever, because deep down she was kind of jealous. Because again, these are the things, because you see one of the main reasons I especially don't tell the older women. You see, I've been sharing with you guys about these random stories about these guys that be happening to me all the time. I've been keeping this stuff to myself for years, because I've realized, especially, it's actually worse with the older women. As soon as you just mention even a crumb of anything to do with you getting male attention, you start to see them react as if like, oh, no, that's not what my experience was like. Well, that's not what this, and that's not what that. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay. But y'all be the same ones talking about, oh, you should come to us for advice and if we want to help you. But really, you don't, because really, we can't even talk about half the things we need to talk about with you, because there's a lot of jealousy. And the jealousy could be like in Blue Ivy's situation. Could be because, she's not even actually Beyonce's daughter, and maybe now it's bothering Beyonce more than it was she thought it would. Or she could just be getting jealous because she is now becoming the focal point, and at first it sounded nice and fun, and it's weird, right? But now it's like, oh, we need to maintain the control. Just like with Britney Spears, what did her mum do? She was the one who was looking after the kids overnight, because Britney had asked her, can you look after the kids because I've been invited to go out? So her mom had the control of the kids, and that's where it went wrong again. That's where it went wrong a frigging again, because then the next thing you know, her mom's using her kids to dingle dangle, keep her under her control, And everything changed for Britney. I'll never forget how clear this was reading the book, that everything changed for her the second that she started to want to be in control of her own life and her own career. That's when everybody started to fly off the handle. And let's not to get to mention, if we're talking about this older woman, younger woman dynamic, Lou M. Taylor again. Lou M. Taylor. And can I just say, I'll say it while I'm here, that some older ladies, I've realized as well, have this tendency also to kind of try and to belittle you and to try and like dim your shine by disguised as, advice, like that they're trying to help you. So I can see, and so I don't know. For me, this is one of those things that's been making it hard for me, like when it comes to female relationships in particular, because I feel like a lot of girls that I've like met, to be completely honest, are in this exact predicament. And like I don't even know where to start with that kind of conversation, because people are so sensitive. Like we've built a society where we so defend this concept of a unconditional love that comes from a woman. And like I said to you guys, women are angels or witches. There's no in between. There are absolutely women out there who would never, but there are absolutely women out there that would. And it's the fact that we don't consider these things, and the fact of the reason I thought I'd bring it up now to do with Blue Ivy in particular, because it's like, if there is anybody that Beyonce is really going to be jealous of, it's probably going to be her own daughter. That's the crazy part of it. That's the crazy part of it all. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, so I've been paying attention to all these different things, and I've been, I've been avoiding this topic for this exact reason, because I just feel like, look, me and my long live the patriarchy thing is fine. I feel like I can get away with it, and people kind of get the essence of what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Because my relationship with the Lord, obviously the Lord is a man, the Lord runs my life with the closest things ever. So the patriarchy is, I am proud, happy of the patriarchy, because I wouldn't be here if not for Jesus and for God and the Holy Spirit, right? But I feel like talking about this subject now is where we're going to see the real viciousness of of it all. And this is why I've been avoiding it. In fact, I just sat here for about an hour trying to avoid making this video and asking God why we even have to talk about this. But I kind of get it, because it's the undertone, it's the underlying issue that I've been seeing across the board, that I have no idea how to address, because everybody's going to jump in so quick to just have this glaze of, oh, if it's a mother, she has to be loving, she has to be this. And it's just like, it just isn't the case a lot of the time. I see it a lot of time in my job as well. I've seen it. That's what I'm saying. I've seen this throughout the years, where it gets to a point, at first it's all fun and games for the older women, for us young ladies. I noticed this as well, like for me, when I talk with people, like especially women who've known me since I was a kid, because I I notice there's this tendency, right? And it's not just the women who do it, but there's this tendency for adults to like kind of miss the younger version. You're like, oh, I knew you when you were so young, and I knew you when you were so this. And I started to think, how comes that people don't seem to be able to acknowledge the achievements I've done now? Because now I've actually done achievements, and I realized it's the control aspect. I was just this little kid, and I was just cute, and I was just under everybody's control of all the adults. You listen to your elders, you show respect to the adults, you listen to your teachers, you listen to the people wherever, and that's what you do, right? And then as you get older, obviously you start to make decisions for yourself, you start to think for yourself, and also you start to develop more as a young woman. And then now this is where the competitive aspect comes in, because unfortunately for us in society, it is true that as women, we do peak earlier, technically speaking. You know what I mean? And I don't actually believe that myself, but I mean, according to society, we do. So I get it. You're watching younger people coming up in the ranks and getting to thrive off of their youth, and it must be hard. That's why I think it actually takes a lot of strength and self-control to be able to be genuinely happy, because I've seen some really ugly energies from some women, over my whole life. But I've particularly noticed the last couple of years, as I've been more interested. And I know some women, who I know, whom I do actually care about, but I don't even know how to approach relationships with them, because I'm like, I can see an issue here. And it's like, it's affecting you, and it's affecting, and like, I know this is going to sound so rude. Yeah, well, it's not rude. It's affecting you. And because of how it's affecting you and it's affecting your progress, it's actually affecting our relationship, because I can't afford to also be around people who are allowing themselves to be under the thumb of anyone from the losing team, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Because at that point, you do become a loser, like, to be honest, no offense, but at that point, you do. I'm not talking about, when, like, missing the time, your younger times, or being happy or wishing you could be young again and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual full-blown jealousy of it all. And then the behavior that comes with it. The behavior that comes with it. Like I said, so in this case, it's not Blue Ivy's fault if she does look like just like her dad. Maybe Beyonce is sad that she's not getting the attention. It could be that. It could also be that I don't believe that that baby is hers. I never did. So when she came out looking just like Jay-Z, I was like, "Well," and it's kind of an ironic thing as well, isn't it? That, even though we as women are the ones who, again, the only way we would know is we'd have to have been there in the delivery room seeing Blue Ivy come out of Beyonce. But if she didn't, I can so foresee this. I can so foresee her being jealous, her trying to control her daughter's career, and just her come up. Because again, I've said to you guys before, I was thinking about this. I don't think as a woman, I can kind of understand the women who have, like, family content online, but I came to the conclusion overall in the long run that I just don't think it's healthy for kids to be on the internet. And I was thinking about this again with the Blue Ivy, because part of the reason apparently they were doing this, or if this is real, but apparently it's the plastic surgeon saying it allegedly, I was thinking just the scrutiny that these kids are getting online. Like, surely as a mother, you would never want that for your child to be, because part of that's it is people saying, she looks too much like her father. She's not got a soft enough look. It reminds me of the same thing again, going back to the Kardashians, when Kanye West was trying to say get Northwest off of TikTok, and Northwest was on TikTok, and the Kardashians all wanted to keep Northwest on TikTok. And I went and checked it one day, and the comments were weird, you guys. The comments were weird. So I was like, why are we keeping them on these social media platforms? Why are we pushing Blue Ivy to the forefront? Why is Britney Spears' mum so happy for her to make the kind of music and stuff that she was making? And I feel like it's the selfish, jealous thing of, like, we'll exploit you. And the jealousy leads to, like, this. It's like I said to you guys about what I understood from Jezebel, right? About just this whole dynamic as women. Whenever women are competing, and we actually compete with each other 24/7. I didn't realize, because I was never competing with nobody other than my damn self. But I'm now realizing so many of my experiences where other women were, like, in their head, we were in competition, right? What I realize now is when they see you are now in competition, they now no longer have empathy for you, and they kind of objectify you the same way that some men do. So now you just become an object that they are either going to take out their anger and their own undealt with trauma on. They're going to exploit so that they can get rich and make money or be more successful. They're going to give bad advice so that you don't get to have a better life than them because they're being vindictive. Like, this is what I've started to realize. And no offense, like, and this, I'm not saying this, I'm not even happy to even make this video because, like I said, I feel like I'm just putting myself out for the slaughter of the Jew of the sheeple even more. But at the same time, it's something that needs to be addressed. And I'll be honest, it's probably one of the number one things affecting me the most when it comes to relationships with women right now, is, like, as I've said, it's the whole Jezebel of it all. It's always these jealous people, these planted ones, who seem to struggle, and they don't even realize they're struggling again because of the pride. And by the time you're an adult now, you've got way too much pride. Because that's why I don't want to bring it up with anybody, and I don't even want to talk about it myself, because I'm like, well, you know what? You guys have so much pride. The second I mention anything, the anger pops up. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm noticing these trends between the difference between those of us on the winning side and the losing side. It's like, over here we have self-control and humility and all those things. And over there, they're so sensitive and so fragile. So it's like you can't even talk about these things, because this topic is like one of the most fragile. Because how dare you ever question if a mother loves a child? How dare you ever accuse a mother of these kinds of things? But it's like, but it happens. And it doesn't help anyone, us pretending that it doesn't happen. And it doesn't help anyone, us not addressing that us women are incapable of heinous things. Because all that happens is we protect the problematic people. This is what I'm saying. We just keep doing the same thing as humans. We protect the problematic people, then the actual victims don't get the help that they need, and they don't get to progress. Because this is what I'm realizing now. I'm thinking, you know what? Now that I'm looking back at my life, I think some of the time In fact, I know for a fact, a lot of times when these women would gossip, I would think about this, when I would hear these women gossiping, particularly the older ladies as I was growing up, and I'd realize they would have all this stuff to say about me that they weren't happy with, that they didn't agree with, but they wouldn't tell me. They would go and just gossip about it and kind of enjoy watching my downfall from a distance. But like, you don't come to me directly to tell me what you need, what you think I'm doing wrong, and come and help me out. You just watch me in my own destruction and then kind of gossip about it over there. It's a very ugly spirit, is basically what I'm saying. And I realized that they're doing it on purpose, because then obviously they're not going to be to blame. It's going to immediately become a fatherlessness issue always, right? And then we as young women are somehow just supposed to work these things out from nowhere. I've realized it's actually happening intentionally, because especially for me, I've always been, like I said to you guys, this kind of role model, whatever the heck I've been expected to be for people. And because of that, that's why I've always throughout my life given younger girls advice, because I don't want them to go through the things I've been through. I don't want them to make the poor mistakes. So I'm always giving them advice. You know what I mean? I'm always giving the young ladies advice. If they ask me for it about things, lessons that I've learned, I'm always bigging them up. That's another thing I realized is very uncommon amongst us as women, and again, especially the old women. I always build people up. Like, I'm always somebody who's like your number one cheerleader. If I think your outfit looks nice, I'll tell you your outfit looks nice. If I think this, whatever I'm thinking. And I realized again that as women, especially the older they get, the harder it is for that to actually end up happening, because then just jealousy dynamic starts to develop, where they're not actually happy for you to look good, and they're not actually happy for you to have the things that you have, or the opportunities, because they feel entitled. They're looking at their life and they're thinking about what they have and what they don't have, and they're seeing you as like, how comes you have what they should have? And I didn't even realize that was a thing. But then now I'm looking at all the data throughout the years, right? Because all the data is hitting me in one go. I feel like this year everything just clicking, because I'm just like, I know these things are not just in my head, because I'm seeing it in my personal life. I'm seeing it with people I know. I'm seeing it. We're seeing it play itself out in the media. I'm seeing it out in industry. I'm seeing it out in the world when I'm going around places in the world, around the world, the same exact things. And so that's what led me to start to think, and maybe I'm going to have to go down this rabbit hole. And I really didn't want to have to be the one. But I also feel like I kind of need to be, because this is one of those things, these conversations that I'm personally avoiding, because I just don't want to have to deal with the anger of people on the other side. And I also don't want to have, I also feel hopeless and helpless, trying to like help the victims who are clearly not progressing, or clearly, not getting the support that they need, or who are clearly distressed because of these types of women, but then they're not prepared to address how it really is these types of women. So I just kind of feel like, what's the point of me talking? This is what I'm saying. I've been saying to you guys that part of the reason I'm so away from everyone all the time is I just don't feel like there's a point in me using my voice, because everybody's already made their mind up and already been swayed. But then I'm looking at people, I'm like, but you don't look okay. But you could be progressing. How comes you don't realize this? How comes you don't realize that? You know what I'm saying? A lot of girls, people wonder why a lot of girls have so many insecurities. A lot of these insecurities stem from people's mothers, you guys. Things that women said to girls growing up. I remember I saw one girl, and bless her heart, in a video, and her face was caked with makeup. And I hate to be the one to say it wasn't like one of those where she's really, up to date with how to do it really nicely. It really didn't look very nice. And everybody was saying to her, like, how come you're wearing makeup? You shouldn't have to wear makeup. Da, 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 da. And I was like, you guys don't get it. You guys don't get it. Because she even said herself, she's like, well, growing up, my mom always said to me that I needed to wear makeup. I was the type of person who had a face that needed makeup. I'm like, you don't understand what level, what amount of weight those words carry as a young woman. The voices of everybody else isn't going to matter. Just like I'm saying with the Kardashians. But then we just want to brush that to the side and be like, how comes you'd wear all that makeup? How could you do that? You're ruining your face. I'm like, you guys aren't getting it. It's like we're never getting it. And it's because we're so swayed and we just go off with whatever the devil has already taught us. And that's the scary part for me, because I'm like, wow, we really are that easy to manipulate. And people really are that quick to defend the problematic person illogically, just because of these things that we believe in society, which should be in theory. Yeah, in theory, a mother would never, but in practice, she might. And again, a lot of these things I don't think happened on purpose. I think a lot of it was just as people got on older, because I've experienced it myself. When you're younger, when I was the younger woman I am, and the younger I've been, always the more support I've had from women in general, and especially older women. And the older I've gotten, the more it's just all complete critique, and it's not critique in love. Because this is what I was thinking. And I'd be talking to these lovely gentlemen throughout my life. Yeah, one of the reasons I think that I actually spend time with them is because they are critical of me, actually quite critical, but they do it in a loving manner. Like, this is exactly what I don't know who I was talking about this with, but like I realized that, like, it's good. A lot of people will hide their malice and their venom behind trying to help you, especially older people. But there's actually a difference, because I've actually noticed people can tell me no, da, 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 and you don't even feel a way. You're actually grateful. And other times people say it and it just breaks your spirit. And I feel like that's what's being done on purpose, and this is what's being done. Right. And that's why you even hear people say, like, how come these types of girls, the shy ones, why would you shy? How can you this girl not know she's beautiful? You guys don't understand how deep the types of issues are. These issues go so much deeper than just you, one person, telling them. You could be battling with them being told their whole life that they need the makeup. This is what I'm saying. Like, and so anyway, I'm going to leave that there for now, because I feel like I've just opened another can of worms now. I don't learn. Anyways, you guys, I'll leave that there for now, because if life's a game, let's play to win. If there's any women out there, please can you share with me your stories or whatever, because I do feel like eventually we have to wake up to that. This is a real thing that a lot of women are suffering from. And I told you guys that I do care about speaking up for the people who are not being given a voice, because I've felt like I've never had a voice my whole life. And so now that I'm having a voice and I've decided to have one, I'm going to speak on behalf of everybody who I feel like doesn't have one. And I feel like a lot of times it's nice, lovely girls, because they're so pure of heart and everything, who end up in these predicaments, you know what I mean? Or even just kids, trusting in the wisdom that's being given to you. I mean, if I trusted in the wisdom that was being given to me by some of these older women, and some of it I did, and some of it is the very things that people are looking at me, they're looking at me and they're saying things like, oh, well, how come you did this? How come you didn't know better about this? I'm like, you wondering why I didn't know better about this? I was told that this is what I should actually do. I was advised, or I was walking myself down the road of blindness, not knowing any better. And then there was just people, particularly older women, in groups or whatever, knowing full blown well that they could come and give some loving, constructive criticism, but wouldn't, because they'd rather just stand on the sidelines, judging and being able to gossip and being able to talk down on us. And so, yeah, I guess this is where we're at. Anyways, guys, if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.